Srudhamara Rayananda Shivara Parashad Vindaki Namacharya Shahaidas Thakur Ki Pensivo Sri Krishna Chaitanya Panitananda Shiyadvaita Gadadhar Shivasri Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Srinavadvip Dham Ki Ganga Devi Ki Lakshmana Devi Ki Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Samagata Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Gurave Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namaha Vandeham Shri Guru Shridhataha Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Navitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Mukam Karoti Vacharam Pangam Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Bande Shri Gurun Dinataranam Vansha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Namo mahabhajanyaya Krishna prema pradayate Krishnaya Krishna chaitanya namne Gauda Trise Namaha Nityananda Namastubhyam Prem Ananda Pradayane Kalau Kalamashanashaya Janava Pataye Namaha Ajanulambita Bhujo Kanakavadato Samkirtanaika Pitaro Kamalaya Taksho Vishwamburo Dvijavaro Yugadharma Palo Vande Jagat Priyakaro Karunavataro Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityanando Sahodito Gaudaudaye Pushpavanto Chitro Shamdo Tamonudo Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jayatam Suruto Pangur Mama Mandamater Gati Matsarvasva Padambojo Radha Madana Mohana Divyad Vrindaranya Kalpadrumadha Srimad Ratnagar Singhasanasto Srimad Radha Srila Govinda Devo Preshtali Bhi Sevyamano Smarami Sriman Rasarasarambi Vam Shivata Tatakstitaha Karshana Venu Svanayir Gopir Gopinata Shriyestunaha Bhaktya Vihina Aparadha Lakshai Kshiptaschaka Mari Taranga Madhye Kripa Mai Tvam Sharanam Prapanna Vrinde Namaste Charanarvindam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. First of all, I'm offering my unlimited Dandavat Pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishto Vishnupad, Paramahansa Ashtatarashata Sri Srila, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. Then I'm offering my same unlimited Dandavat Pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Siksha Gurudevs. Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupad, Paramahansa Ashtatarashata, Sri Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj, and Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupad, Paramahansa Ashtatarashata Sri Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering my Dandavat Pranams to the lotus feet of all of my Gaudiya Guru Varga and Rupanuga Guru Varga. And I'm offering my Dandavat Pranams to all the Vaishnavas and to all the Vaishnavis. Oh, and especially my Dandavat Pranams at the lotus feet of our Prayojan Tattva Acharya, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami Pad, who has written this Vilapa-kusumanjali that we are studying. So, we're reading verse 31, and day before yesterday, our last class, we had read the verse, and we had read some of the purport. Yes. So today, I think we'll be able to complete the purport. I'm reading the Sanskrit of the verse, and then the verse, and then we'll repeat word for word the Sanskrit and responsively the English. Padamboje manimaya tulakoti yugmena yatnad abhyarche taddalakulam api preshtapadanguliyai kanchi damna koti tatam idam prema pitam sunetre kangsarer No. Kangsarater atulam achirad archayishyami kimte. O beautiful-eyed one, when will I worship your 2 lotus feet with jeweled anklets and the petals of your lotus feet with toe rings? With a splendid belt, when will I worship your hips, the sacred pilgrimage place of Kangsari, the enemy of Kamsa? Can I repeat? Padam Boje, Mani Maya, Tula Koti, Yugmena, Yatnad, Abhyarche, Tad Dala, Kulam Api, Preshta, Padanguliyai, 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 Kanchi, Damna, Koti, Tatam, Idam, Prema, Pitam, Sunetre. Kangsarater, Atulam, Achirad, Archayashyami, Kimte. O beautiful-eyed one, when will I worship your 2 lotus feet? With jeweled anklets and the petals of your lotus feet with toe rings, with a splendid belt, when will I worship your hips? The sacred pilgrimage place of Kangsari, the enemy of Kamsa. Srila Gurudev's commentary. Now it is morning, and the Manjaris have finished bathing Srimati Radhika, and now ornamenting her. Even without any ornament, she is naturally very beautiful. I mean, although we hear all these incredible poetical descriptions of Srimati Radhika's beauty, actually, we can't conceive of it, right? We can't conceive of it because it is not of this world. So all of these descriptions of the transcendental beauty of Srimati Radhika's transcendental spiritual body, which is made of Mahabhav, and also all of her ornaments are also made of Mahabhav, and all the Manjaris are absorbed in Srimati Radhika's Mahabhav. But in the material world, a woman sits at her mirror with her makeup, and she applies her makeup, or if they're an actress or something like that, then they have professional makeup artists who paint and do all kinds of things. But in actuality, all of that is made of the 3 modes of material nature. It's all part of the external material energy of Krishna, which causes the living entity to forget Krishna and to become absorbed in their own satisfaction. And this is the difference. We always have to remember, as Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami pointed out, that there is a vast difference between prem and kam. There are 2 types of kam, but in this case it's referring to material lust. And what is the definition of material lust? That I want to satisfy my senses. This is what he's telling there. Atmendriya priti vansha. Atma Indriya means my senses. priti, atmendriya priti vancha. We have the desire to give satisfaction to our own indriyas, our senses. So we've heard many times this description that when a material, mundane, conditioned soul in the body of a woman, however beautiful that fading beauty may be, but her objective is to enjoy herself. To enjoy by putting on makeup, attracting some opposite sex and enjoying her senses. So this is all within the realm of illusion, Maya, that which is not. So all of that is false. It's all false. Because first of all, she's not a woman. She's a jivatma. The body is just temporary. It's just a vehicle. It's not yourself, right? But because the jivatma wants to enjoy senses within the material world, therefore the illusion comes very strongly in the false ego. Mind, intelligence, false ego. Mana, buddhi, ahankar. In the subtle body, there's great striving and attachment. And, but it's all false. It's all temporary. It's all an illusion. Even in a devotee's life, same thing. We have material body, we have relationships within this material world, especially those who are householders. They have wife, children, all relatives, all of these things. So they want to be in that realm of samsara. Samsara vasanas, material desires. And they're living their life in illusion. That's why it's called a dark well. Right? It's called a dark well. What's the words? Can anyone remember the words of Prahlad Maharaj in this regard? Amdakupam. Yes. Amdakupam. So it's a well that someone falls into, dark well. And so when Raghunath Das Goswami escaped finally from the imprisonment of his parents and all of the servants who were keeping him bound up and not allowing him to run off. But finally he got the chance, and when he finally ran all the way to Jagannath Puri, he did a 1-month journey in about 9 or 11 days. And he barely ate 3 times along the way. And Mahaprabhu told Swarup Damodar Goswami, make arrangements for Raghunath Das to eat very sumptuously for a few days. But what did Mahaprabhu tell him when he first came? Mahaprabhu embraced him and he said, you are very fortunate. Because Krishna has delivered you. From what? Oh, he was from a wealthy family. He's like a prince. He has a wife that is as beautiful as Miss Universe, right? We keep hearing that from Gurudev. Right? Loving parents, even they were Vaishnava pride. They had also seen and had the darshan of Mahaprabhu, but they were not fully Vaishnavas, Mahaprabhu told. They're Vaishnava prai. Prai means almost Vaishnavas. Because not actually surrendering fully, Still so much attachment in the mundane and identification with the mundane. This is the problem, identification. So as long as we are in this material world and we identify, then we develop attachment. So what did Mahaprabhu say? He said, she's talking in the background, somebody's talking on the phone. Not very loud. Okay, anyway. So what did Mahaprabhu tell to Raghunath Das? Krishna is very merciful to you. Why?
He saved you from a dark well.
he explained more explicitly about that dark well, what's in it. This is directly Mahaprabhu's words. He has saved you from a pit of stool that you had fallen into. So just see the difference of the vision. Like Mahaprabhu is playing the role of a Mahabhagavata Vaishnava, right? But they don't see anything attractive about any mundane wealth, family, society, birth, education, all of that. Janma Aishwarya Shruta Shribir Edamana Madak Puman. She's having a whole conversation. You can mention it to her. Yeah, or somebody is. So, Edamana Madak Puman. So, Queen Kunti Devi, she said so many prayers to Krishna after the battle of Kurukshetra when Krishna was going to return to Dwarka. Those beautiful prayers, our Prabhupada has made one book of lectures on those verses. But she says there, Tvama Kinchana Gochara. She says, "O Krishna, you are the property of those persons who are materially exhausted and who are akinchana, materially impoverished. They have nothing in this world. You are their property. But those who Janma Aishwarya Shruta Shribir. Janma Aishwarya means good birth, wealth, Shruta, education, Shribir, beauty. Edamana Madak Puman, anyone who is Madak, that means intoxicated by this, who are fully identifying with their temporary material situation. They cannot address you, O Krishna, with feeling. They cannot actually address you with feeling because they're in a whole lower state of consciousness and they cannot really realize how nothing is of any importance in this world, only my relationship with Krishna. So it's essential actually that at our in our sampradaya, there must be detachment before old age sets in and death is very near. There must be. The reason why, and that detachment comes from attachment to Krishna. Otherwise it's not possible. But there must be a very keen understanding that as long as I remain in this well, yes, executing my devotional practices and so forth, but just by dint of that, there's still so much covering of the consciousness because of material identification, and that is why the Vedic system has 4 time periods of life. But nowadays, no one does the final 2. Even the first one they don't do, brahmacharya, right? So everyone is in the deep dark well of Maya. So Gaur Nitai, Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, they showed, and all of their associates descended from Goloka Vrindavan to show by example, how to be in Grihastha life, but to be fully attached to Krishna. That's the key. We know that our Srila Prabhupada was like that. He was like that. He did his business activities. Also, Krishna arranged for that to gradually fade away and for his family members to kind of become very disappointed in him. He's not giving us all the material sense gratification that we want. So in this way, Krishna arranged, but Prabhupada had cultivated attachment to Krishna his whole life. Chanting very, very firmly, 1 lakh, when he was in household life. Always. So, our acharyas have set the example. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, even Gurudev said, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was never a householder. I tried to suggest on a morning walk in Navadvip that, because Gurudev was mentioning about how there were various great devotees of previous times who were in household life. Right? So then I said to him, oh, Gurudev, also Bhaktivinoda Thakur was in household life. Then he said, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was never in household life. He was Paramahansa. He is Paramahansa. Only outwardly it appeared that he was in household life. Even he fathered so many children. But he is showing example. And at the end, he completely withdrew. For the final, 2 or 3 years. So, it's always necessary to be reminded. That's why we see discussion of this throughout Srimad Bhagavatam, and especially 11th canto. Especially 11th canto. So much instruction on renunciation, detachment. Hear that?
Yes.
Oh. Nimai. Yes, so, but as we're reading these verses describing the transcendental reality, which is our ultimate aim and object, to serve the lotus feet of Srimati Radhika, embracing her as our Swamini, even more so than Krishna. So this is the realm that we want to move towards in our life. We will have to adopt the necessary sadhana. Gurudev continues to remind us of that throughout his purports. So, when Raghunath Das Goswami is in outer sense, he is like a sadhak. But when he is in the inner stage, then he is a siddha. He is not a sadhak, he is a siddha, but for a sadhak, it will not be so easy as it was for Raghunath Das Goswami. He has come here as an associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to show the path of Rag Anuga Bhakti. A sadhak should try to do all these things. Who will do this? One who has taste and has a very good guidance. Sajati ashaye snigdhe, and he has gone through 11 kinds of bhavs or moods. That means ekadash. Nam, name, rupa, form. What does it mean? He has gone through 11 kinds of bhavs or moods.
He's developed and realized.
He's realized this. He knows his swarup. He's become siddha. So he has gone through these moods: nam, rupa, form, gana, group, palyadasi mood of a maidservant, and so forth. And after that, he should complete 5 dashas, or 5 stages. Shravan dasha, the stage of hearing. Varan dasha, the stage of acceptance. Bhavapana dasha, Smaran Dasha, the stage of remembrance. Bhavapan Dasha, the stage of spiritual ecstasy. And Prem Sampati Dasha, the stage in which the topmost wealth of love is achieved. Sampati means to sometimes come in the inner stage. That's what Sampati means. Prem Sampati Dasha, the stage in which the topmost wealth of love is achieved. Sampati means to sometimes come in the inner stage. If anyone wants to enter this stage, then they should also know what is bhakti, and then they should know what is bhakti rasa. Gurudev would comment on the song, Gorangera Dutipada. You know that song by Narottam Das Thakur. Gorangera Dutipada, Jar Dhana Sampada, Sejane Bhakati Rasa Sar. So that's the first verse of that song by Narottam Das Thakur. So Gorangera Duti Pada. What does that mean? Gorangera Duti Pada. You know? Gorangera Duti Pada. Duti means two, and Pada means lotus feet. Gorangera, of Lord Gauranga. So anyone, Gorangera Duti Pada Jar Dhana Sampada. Anyone who has accepted the two lotus feet of Gauranga as his what? His dhana, his wealth, and sampada, his treasure. Anyone who has accepted those two lotus feet, they're having like, I don't know why. Hello? Is Nischinta Didi there? I'm hearing all of this discussion going on there. Is there a way for you to turn off your... Okay. Chardana Sampada. Have we accepted the two lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya as our wealth of our life? Our dhana? Exclusively. That is my wealth. The two lotus feet of Lord Gauranga is my everything. Jar Dhana Sampad. Sampad means treasure. Have we accepted? Only partially. Not fully. So Jar Dhana Sampada, then Narottam Das Thakur says, anyone who has accepted in this way the two lotus feet of Lord Gauranga, say jane, he will know. That person will know. Bhakti rasa sar. What does that mean? Bhakti rasa sar.
The essence of devotional mellows.
Not exactly. It's true, the essence. But the way that Gurudev would break it down, because there's three words: bhakti, rasa, sar. So he would explain that anyone who has accepted the two lotus feet of Gauranga Mahaprabhu in this way, he will know what is bhakti. Then he will know what is bhakti rasa. And finally, he will know what is bhakti rasa sar. You see? So, if anyone wants to enter this stage, then they should also know what is bhakti. And then, what is bhakti rasa? It's not enough to just know what is bhakti. One has to know what is bhakti rasa. And knowing what is bhakti rasa, not just technically the names of all of that, no, he's tasting. He's tasting bhakti rasa. If anyone wants to enter this stage, then they should also know what is bhakti and then what is bhakti rasa. So he's explaining that person who can truly follow Raghunath Das Goswami, go through the 11 items, go through the 5 stages, the 5 dashas. So then Gurudev says, it will come up to Staibhav. What will come up to Staibhav? Bhakti rasa. But Staibhav will not come at first. Shuddha Sattva will come. We read this the other day. And then after Shuddha Sattva, in Shravan Dasha, he will know all the things which makes bhakti transform into bhakti rasa. First will come the thought of Vibhav. Who is Krishna? I am in the position of Ashray, a Saki, under the guidance of Gurudev or Vilapa-kusumanjali. And then Udipan will come. What is Udipan? Stimuli. So much Udipan. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has one very beautiful song, how he's pointing out everything in Braj that is acting as Udipan, stimulus, for his love for Krishna. The sound of Krishna's flute, and even the cows, and the Yamuna, and all. So, then Udipan will come, and after that, Anubhav will come. Then Sanchari Bhav. And at last it will come to Satvik Bhav. And then Sthai Bhav will come. So he's bringing Sthai Bhav at the end. And when Satvik Bhav will come, all these things will mix upon the platform of Sthai Bhav. If you mix water, sugar, fragrance, and rose water in a pot in proper proportion, then it will be rasa. So all these things will be in the guidance of a very expert Rasik Vaishnava. Yes. So we have to study Jaiva Dharma, how Bhaktivinoda Thakur presents in the last 1/3 of the book, all the subject matters of what is Rasa Tattva, what is Bhakti Rasa, all the components, everything is beautifully described in Jaiva Dharma. And of course, Rupa Goswami, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So then Gurudev is saying, gradually it will come. If we will do one day like this, for an hour, and then leave it, and then here and there chanting, nothing will come. Why will nothing come?
It's not steady.
Yeah. So Raghunath Das Goswami, when he is in his external sense, he is always thinking, I'm so wretched, I have no bhakti. He is always weeping and praying to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, praying to Giriraj, reading the books of Rupa Goswami. His only power was the books of Rupa Goswami and the knowledge that he had gained from Swarup Damodar, Rai Ramananda, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and his associates. Gurudev is saying this was his only power. Then automatically it will come, like in a chain or in a stream. The pastimes of Krishna in the 8 segments of the day will manifest in our heart. In the morning, we will automatically remember the morning pastimes, and this Purvan Leela will come into our heart. In midday, the Madhyan Leela will come. We will be in Radha Kunda. In the evening, when Krishna is returning, we will be with Srimati Radhika. And when Krishna is, when Krishna is returning, Rupamanjari is with Srimati Radhika and is seeing Krishna. When will he chant or do another thing? He has no work to do. His everything becomes as the gopis, no mala in hand, because he is a Paramahansa. But we will have to do all these things and follow Raghunath Das Goswami sequentially. In outer sense, he, Raghunath Das Goswami, was weeping. And Nila Chudavili Bir means he has given bangles and rings on Radhika's fingers. When she was going to put these rings on the fingers or the bangles on her arms, then he saw what? What did he see at that time? When he was about to put the bangles on Srimati Radhika's arms. Yes, and the rings on Radhika's fingers. Then what happened?
Oh, it disappeared during vision.
Yes. When she, Tulsi Manjari, was going to put these rings on the fingers or the bangles on her arms, then he saw that there was no hand of Srimati Radhika, and he was bitterly weeping, weeping, weeping. We can't even imagine to be directly in the Leela, and he's fully absorbed in his Manjari Swarup and serving Radhika, but then suddenly the whole scene disappears. We see that again and again and again. Gurudev is explaining in practically every verse how he has been praying and meditating upon this seva, actually performing this seva. But then he comes out of that suddenly, and the scene disappears. And now he's weeping and weeping and weeping and rolling on the bank of Radhakund. So the next section is called the magic charm of Krishna's flute playing and Radhika's ankles. Krishna's flute playing and Radhika's anklets. So, then again, from outer sense, he came in half internal consciousness, and then he came to internal sense, and she saw that she is putting anklets on Srimati Radhika's lotus feet. And at once, she remembered a pastime of Krishna, when, in Ras, the anklets fell off, and Krishna took them. Radhika was standing to dance. She was standing to dance, and he began to tighten them on her feet. She was also remembering how Krishna sings on the Vamshi. If the very sweet sounds of Radhika's anklets are not there, it seems that Krishna is doing only half. But if they are tinkling, and the Vamshi is also singing, then the sound of both of them combined makes Krishna so happy, as well as Srimati Radhika and the others. At that time, Krishna makes the flute sound so sweet. Krishna was singing and the gopis were all dancing. Tulsi Manjari is watching this in complete wonder. All the gopis then stopped dancing, and only Srimati Radhika was dancing, and Krishna was playing his flute. Everyone was watching Radhika. Krishna was also looking towards Srimati Radhika and thinking how beautifully she is dancing. Everyone was watching Radhika as it had been written in the Venu Gita, that when Krishna was playing on his flute, the peacocks were dancing and all the other birds and animals were only watching. Their movements stopped in their wonder. Even Yamuna stopped, and the tree branches came down. The parrots and all other birds stopped their singing and became as if they were munis, and they were sitting on the branches of the Samaveda. And from there, they were coming to the Srimad Bhagavatam branch. Who was that? The birds, who were munis in previous life. The cuckoos also stopped singing. Because of the mixed singing of the sound of Krishna's flute and the anklets of Srimati Radhika, everyone was astonished and they were overwhelmed in bliss. So in the meantime, the anklet on one foot of Srimati Radhika flew off. Tulsi noticed that the sound of the Vamshi stopped when Srimati Radhika stopped dancing, and then everything was upset. Tulsi ran toward the anklet, but in the meantime Krishna came and took it. He bound it on the feet of Srimati Radhika, and again the dancing and the singing began as before. Tulsi Manjari remembered this and began to tell Radhika, remember when Ras was going on and this happened? Krishna took the anklet himself and he tied it on your feet, and again you began to dance. So there's a verse in the Sri Sri Prem Pura Bida Stotram. Doesn't say where that's from, but Gurudev is quoting this now. Madhu Madhura Nishayam Jyotir Udbhashitayam Sita Kusuma Suvasa Klipta Karpura Bhusha Subala Sakam Upeta Dutika Nyasta Hasta Kshanamapi Mama Radhe Netram Anandaya Tvam. O Radha, who, dressed in fragrant white flowers, decorated with camphor, and a hand resting on a gopi messenger, meets Subal's friend, Krishna, on a charming moonlit spring night. Please, for even a moment, give happiness to my eyes. I'm reading that again. O Radha, who, dressed in fragrant white flowers decorated with camphor, and a hand resting on a gopi messenger, meets Subal's friend Krishna on a charming moonlit spring night. Please, for even a moment, give happiness to my eyes. So she is remembering, Tulsi Manjari, she is remembering that pastime as she gives the anklets on the feet of Srimati Radhika. And she is also reminding Srimati Radhika of this pastime. Sri Radhika became so pleased and began to smile. Yatnad Abhyarche means to do archan. And here, to give the anklet on the feet of Srimati Radhika is archan. As when we take Mahaprasadam, we say that we are serving Mahaprasada. We are serving Harikatha like this. Everything is service. So why is he using the word sunetre in the above mentioned pastime? When the anklet fell off, then Srimati Radhika was seeing Krishna, who was collecting that nupura to give it on the feet of Srimati Radhika. She was so pleased that he is in a svadhin bhartrika state. Any nayaka, that's nayika, any nayika becomes very pleased if the beloved is under control. And now Krishna is fully controlled by Srimati Radhika. So her whole body, her eyes, mouth, everything was so happy, like a lotus in full bloom. Therefore, Raghunath is calling her Sunetre. What's the meaning of Sunetre? Beautiful. Netra means eyes or vision. So Sunetre, one who has beautiful eyes. So now Gurudev is saying, how will this come? Rupa Goswami has said something very beautiful in his Chatu Pushpanjali, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur has translated it in his poetry. In the last verse, Rupa Goswami has written that anyone who will read this very patiently and carefully and with so much affection, they will achieve this mood. In Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 229, it has been said, Vamshi Ganamritatam Lavanyamrita Janmastan Yena Deke Se Chanda Vadan Se Nayane Kiva Kaj Paduka Tar Munde Vaj Se Nayana Rahe Ki Karama. Translation. Of what use are the eyes of one who does not gaze at the moon-like face of Krishna, which is the origin of all beauty? The moon-like face of Krishna is the origin of all beauty. So, what use are the eyes of one who does not gaze at the moon-like face of Krishna? And who is also Krishna, who is not only the origin of all beauty, but he is the abode of his nectarian flute songs. Oh, let a thunderbolt strike such a head. Why does he maintain such eyes? What's being expressed here? Why is he mentioning a thunderbolt striking the head of a person who doesn't see the beautiful face of Krishna? That's a pretty heavy thing. If a thunderbolt will strike your head, you're finished. Right? So why is he saying? Why is he saying like this? Oh, let a thunderbolt strike such a head. Why does he maintain such eyes? Of what use are the eyes of one who does not gaze at the moon-like face of Krishna, which is the origin of all beauty and the abode of his nectarine flute songs? Oh, let a thunderbolt strike such a head. Why does he maintain such eyes? So this is in the rasa poetry of our acharyas. This mood is often expressed. Fie on me, or fie on that person. Why? Because this is a glorification of the object which I or that person have not absorbed ourselves in. So, let a thunderbolt strike my head. So, The sound from the Vamshi, when Krishna plays it, it is the abode of nectar. Lavanyamrita Janmastan. What does Janmastan mean? The place of birth, right? So here it's saying the place of the birth of Lavanyamrita, the nectar of Lavanya. And Lavanya means beauty. So Gurudev is saying here, Lavanya means beauty, glowing in the body like a beautiful luster. Yena deke se chand vadana. When Krishna is playing on the Vamshi, he is looking at the gopis and at Srimati Radhika with the corners of his eyes. And then his face becomes lax and lax times more beautiful. If anyone sees this, his eyes are certainly successful. Otherwise, the eyes are in vain. Se nayane kibakaj. The eyes are in vain, which have not seen Krishna's face when he hears the tinkling of Srimati Radhika's anklets. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 21st chapter, it has been said, and now this is from the Venugita, and this is a verse in which the gopis themselves are telling, Akshanvatam phalamidam naparam vidama Sakya pashun anavivesha tayor vayasyai Vaktram vrajesha sutayor anuvena jushtam Yairva nipitam anurakta kataksha moksham. So the gopis are singing in the Venugita. The gopis speak among themselves, O Sakis, we think that for those with eyes, there is no higher vision. Perfection of the eyes lies in seeing this object alone. We know of no other. It is the sight of the two sons of Nanda Maharaj, Sri Krishna and Balaram, accompanied by the Sakhas as they enter the forest with the cows or as they return with them to Vrindavan. They position their flutes to their lips, and they glance upon us with mild smiles. And amorous sidelong glances filled with love. At that time, we relish the sweetness of their faces. So like this, Gurudev is saying, I have explained this in the Venugita. At that time, Srimati Radhika had taken the Vamshi of Krishna, and then both are playing. Srimati is giving the melody in the Vamshi, and both are as one. Krishna is seeing Srimati Radhika, and Radhika is seeing Krishna. If one has not seen this thing, their eyes are in vain. Shri Narottam Das Thakur has sung, Jaba go Brajendra Pura, Habo Gopikar Nupura, Tadera Charane Madhura Baji Bogo. This means, I will go to Vrajendrapur. Vrajendrapur means Nandagan. Vrajendrapur. Varshana or Yavat, they are all Vrajendrapur. So, Habo Gopikar Nupura. I want to become a jingling ankle bell on Srimati Radhika's feet. And when she will dance Madhura Madhura Baji Bogo, then I will tinkle in a sweet melody together with the Vamshi. I think that all the Leelas have been explained in the Govinda Lilamrita and in Krishna Bhavanamrita. Without using them, no explanation can be properly done. Those who have read them thoroughly, and they are remembering them, They always can explain more and more beautifully. In the Krishna Bhavanamritam, we find this following verse. Madhuri maiva dadad vividha bida svasafala kritaye padayor lutam rana ranetya paran apitad gunan sukritina kritina kim atushtu vat. Kim atushtu vat. By seeing this vision, my eyes will be successful. Padayor lutam. I will follow in the footsteps of Srimati Radhika. And after doing archan with the anklets, then Das Goswami continues praying, Abhyarche tad dala kulam, api preshta padanguliyai. Here, dala means petal, and it refers to Srimati Radhika's toes. Her feet are like lotuses, and her toes are the petals. Preshta padanguliyai. On these toes, Tulsi Manjari will put beautiful jeweled toe rings. They may also be made of flowers. I think that the ornaments made by flowers are more beautiful, fragrant, and softer than the ornaments made of jewels. Tulsi also desires to give a mekhala, a belt, made of pearls and small tinkling bells. When she dances, the bells will tinkle. And Krishna, whether he is standing at some distance or nearby, he will hear and he will see. Raghunath Das Goswami then remembered so many pastimes. He remembered how Krishna stopped his activities and how he watched Srimati Radhika's dancing. He heard the bells tinkling and he saw them moving here and there. And he was enchanted by the beautiful scene. So there's just this one last section. Prema Pitam. Prema Pitam, the hip of Srimati Radhika that is decorated with the mekhala, is the Prem Pit of Krishna. His eyes go there automatically. Srimati Radhika is standing with one hand resting on the branch of a kadamba and the other on her hip, as if she is tired. Krishna sees this and he becomes so attracted. Tulsi says to Srimati Radhika, "Oh, when Krishna is playing on his vamshi, but you will not dance, and your nupura will not tinkle, and your mekhala will not sound so sweet, oh, then Krishna will not enjoy it so much, as if these were all accompanying him." So when Tulsi told this to Srimati Radhika, while she was giving the mekhala, she suddenly saw that nothing was there. And he returned to where he was rolling on the bank of Radhakunda, and again he began weeping and weeping. And then he prayed, "O Srimati Radhike, as I have seen in my samadhi, will you give me this chance to serve you like this?" Krishna is looking towards Srimati Radhika, and Srimati Radhika is looking towards him. Tulsi is seeing this as she is giving the ornaments on Srimati Radhika. Tulsi then refers to Krishna as Kamsarater. Radhika's hip is the Prem Pita. Why does he use the word Kamsari? If Krishna is going to kill Kamsa, then anyone will see that this will have some fear. If Krishna is going to kill Kamsa, then anyone who sees this will have some fear, and their eyes will show this. Raghunath Das Goswami saying, why should you not fear. Then a person says, why? Oh, because Krishna is so powerful that he can easily kill Kamsa. He is so powerful and he will not be controlled by anyone in the whole world. But now he has been controlled by you. So you are more powerful than Krishna. This you need not fear. No one can be compared with you. So, if Krishna is going to kill Kamsa, then anyone who sees this will have some fear and their eyes will show this. So Raghunath Das Goswami is saying, you should not fear. Why? Because Krishna is so powerful that he can easily kill Kamsa. He is so powerful and will not be controlled by anyone in the whole world, but now he has been controlled by you. Telling to who? Srimati Radhika. So you are more powerful than Krishna, and thus you need not fear. No one can be compared with you. You have no equal. Then remembering this, new thoughts are coming, and Raghunath is sometimes weeping and sometimes absorbed in internal consciousness. So that's the end of today's verse and purport. Tomorrow we will read verse 32. Verse 32. And I'm just giving a little foreshadowing of it. Lalitara mrinali kalpa bahudvayam te murajai matihangsi dairya vidvamsha daksham manikula rachitabhyam angadabhyam purastat pramada bara vinamra kalpayashyami kimva. Humbled with intense bliss, when will I decorate your two graceful arms with jeweled armlets, which expertly destroy the peacefulness of the swan of Krishna's heart? So Shri Vilapa-kusumanjali ki jai. Gaur Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol. You can do Mahamantra.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Radhe Radhe Govinda, Govinda Radhe, Radhe Radhe Govinda, Govinda Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Govinda, Govinda Radhe, Radhe Radhe Govinda, Govinda Radhe.
Radhe 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 Govinda Govinda Radhe
Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe 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 Govinda Govinda Radhe
Jaya Sachinandana Jaya Gora Hari Jaya Sachinandana Jaya Gora Hari
Jaya Sachinandana Jaya Gora Hari Jaya Sachinandana Jaya Gora Hari Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol
Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Jai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol Jai Suparikar Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Radha Vinod Bihari Jiyo Ki Jai Radha Govinda Gopinath Madan Mohan Jiyo Ki Jai Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Srila Gurudev Ki Jai Shri Shri Rupa Nuga Guru Varga Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Samagor Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande Vrindai Tulsidev Bhai Priyai Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Pralidevi Satyavachai Namo Namo Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Patitanam Bhavane